up down here, what happens is the light bounces off of the hair, go up to the chin, and wash out the jawline, right? So what we do with highlighting is we're contouring the hair. Just like when we do makeup, we contour our cheekbones, we contour our jawline, we highlight our cheekbones, right? It's the same thing, just like with makeup. We create movement, structure. We make our face look smaller, we make our cheeks look bigger, we make our nose look taller. So that's what we do with makeup. With hair, it's the exact same way. If I make all her hair blonde, what happens is the light will bounce up and erase that jawline, and that's what we don't want. I keep it dark underneath, so when she wears her hair to the front, what happens is right in here, the light will absorb, so her jaw will look sharper and darker there. Does that make sense, guys? Right? So that's why you see me go really low. There's only a certain time when I actually push it up very high. So I go all the way up until I reach the occipital bone, which is where her head curves, right? So you'll see me only, I hold the ends. That's the key here, is you hold the ends. Her ends are thinner, her top is thicker, because she has a lot of texture from her haircut that she has. And there's different ways. You can do it 0-degree elevation. You can lift it up to about 45 or 90 degrees when you're doing a back comb. It depends on how much diffusion you want, right? So you can, I'll give you an example. If you lift it up out here, make sure you hold it down. What happens is when you do one back comb, right? Notice I only push it one time. You push back all the short hair, and I'm still holding all of the long hair. So basically, you're drawing attention to all of the length and pushing back all of the short texture. So this is where the contour happens, right? Does that make sense? A lot of times, what we don't realize in the past is, when we did these back comb techniques, all we did was think about hold it and back comb, just back comb. It makes no sense, right? This is how it makes sense. You have to cut the hair first before you back comb, okay? Because that's how you know how much texture you put into the hair. So you'll always see me cut the hair before I do this. I call it building the house before you paint it, okay? So she's gonna lay another foil down. And look how nice that lays. It looks like a veil, okay? So now her head is about to curve. So this is what I do. I take a thinner slice right above that, because now I'm gonna go up tighter. And the reason why I choose to go tighter here at her occipital bone is because when she turns to the side, take a look if I go up higher, right in here. What happens is when she puts her hair up in a ponytail, this highlight that goes higher creates an illusion of a curve, right? Like, see, she did a high ponytail, so it actually creates a curve, if you guys can visually see that. So a lot of people don't have a curve on their head. They have a flat head. So when they pull their hair up, it looks like, oh, they have no curve. Everybody wants to look curvy, right? So what's really important is that that highlight starts high, right where her occipital bone is, so that way it draws attention to her curved head. I don't know many people who wants to have a flat head, so that's why if they do have one, you can create the illusion of a not so flat shape. Okay, so take a look now. I'm actually pushing it all the way into her scalp edge, right? You see that? And if you guys really pay attention, notice I only push one time. I never have to tug. That's why when I rinse her out, I don't have any problems pulling out the back comb. The cool thing about Olaplex number 2 as a treatment is that it'll loosen all of this. I actually massage Olaplex number 2 into the hair when I rinse this out, and it actually all comes right out. The only time it's hard to get a back comb out is when you keep doing that type of stuff. I'll show you another thing I do. For example, let's say she has old highlights. These were old highlights. And you want to overlap it to make it blonder, but you don't want to damage it. This is what I do. I actually fold this foil back because she has some highlights here. You see that? Okay, and watch what I do. I paint the outside. Give me this. Okay, I overlay this, and I fold this back. I let this sit outside versus inside the foil because the hair inside the foil will lift lighter because of the heat conduction. The hair outside will lift lighter, but you can monitor it. I can stand here and while I'm foiling her hair, I say, oh my gosh, her hair is getting too blonde, it will break, maybe. So what I do is I immediately take a towel and just pat it. And then grab my Olaplex number 2 and then put it over it to stop it. Because Olaplex number 2 has a pH of 3 to 3.5. When you drop the alkalinity, the pH to the hair, you stop the action of the bleach, right? So this is why you see me leave that out when you're dealing with old highlights. This is actually what I did on her hair because she actually has old highlights. I want it to be blonder, but I didn't want to break off her hair. Do you guys like what you saw? Right? So now, the next section here, I don't want to go back high again because if I go up high again, it's going to look like everything is too high. Remember, you want to create a jagged blur, right? When you turn, you want it to be a jagged blur. You don't want it to be like all blonde roots, a blonde rooty look, because it'll look too harsh. So at this point, again, this section is a little bit too thick. Some people have more hair, some people have less hair. I show you another way that I backcomb. So you saw I did the 0 degree backcombing, 45, 90, and you could do 180, okay? And how many guys are hair cutters here? Hair cutters? Much like hair cutting, a 0 degree haircut, like this, creates weight line, right? A 45 degree haircut creates movement, right? The hair moves and it swings. You lift the hair up 180, you create the maximum amount of layers. So when you cut it up here, you drop the hair, you get more layers coming down. So much like a haircut, if you want it to blend to its maximum potential, you lift the hair up 180, just like that, and you press it one time. See? This is how you get maximum blending. Because sometimes when you do 0 degree elevation, even though you paint, you still see a line, even though you pull out the back comb. How many guys had that issue before? Raise your hand. Don't be shy. I know we all had issues. Come on. Nobody? Everyone's perfect? Everyone's perfect. Okay, I see some folks. Okay, so this high back combing will actually help you. Have you guys ever tried a 180 back comb? Okay, so you guys can try that when you guys get back in the salon. So take a look. Again, I do the same thing, just like so, right? It's so interesting. Go ahead and lay that down. What I find is that a lot of hairstylists don't realize that there is an art to back comb because we've learned how to back comb, highlight the hair, but we don't realize there's a method and a placement and an artistry to the technique, okay? So the difference between when you guys watch my YouTube channel is